Recently, I was looking through my channel and stumbled across one of the first ever videos I posted. It was a let's play of Minecraft I had started. I had finally scrapped enough money together to buy my first gaming PC and wanted to start my very first Java survival world. So that's what I did. That video was posted over 3 years ago. And you know what the craziest part is? I still play on that same survival Minecraft world today. No mods, no side worlds, just that one original let's play world. While I don't still make these let's plays, I find it crazy that I haven't created a new survival world since. See, I find that people often misconceptualize what the purpose of Minecraft is. People focus solely on roguelike elements of the game when at its core it's a sandbox game with some survival elements. Because of this, people tend to play for a few weeks before experiencing some form of burnout, causing them to leave the world behind. Many often refer to this as the 2-week Minecraft phase, where you maybe with a bunch of buddies create a new survival world and play on it for about 14 to 18 days, and then you suddenly just stop playing. And while the 2-week phase of Minecraft is always great fun, there are a bunch of benefits to playing one world long term, with the main being simply seeing it evolve and grow more massive with each playthrough. There's a huge sense of reward you can only get by playing on the same world long term, and I know so many people struggle with this and want to play one world. Now, there are actually countless reasons as to why this 2-week phase occurs, but for the sake of this video, I want to focus on just sharing a couple of ways I was able to overcome the phenomenon of the 2-week Minecraft phase and finally enjoy a Minecraft world long term. So whether you decide to play alone or with friends, here are 10 tips to help you enjoy a Minecraft world long term. First off, I want to get the most obvious tip out of the way, and that's whatever you do, don't give in to the urge to start a new world. Starting a new world each time you get the urge to play Minecraft is an endless cycle, and by doing so, it'll keep you from ever getting the chance to do really cool big projects. If you're currently finding yourself bored of your world, then maybe take a little break, play a different game, or literally just go do anything else. Then, when you do decide you're craving some Minecraft again, come back to that same old world. Now that the most obvious tip is out of the way, let's get into some of the more interesting ones. The second tip I'd like to share is about how you actually choose to play the game. Look back on your last few playthroughs. I'm willing to bet that each playthrough looks pretty similar, consisting of building a house, maybe a farm, getting diamond gear, beating the ender dragon. Maybe you decide to go get an elytra and then inevitably get burnt out. Many players often play the game in an incredibly similar way each playthrough, and that's why I strive for you to try something you haven't experienced in the game before. For example, if you're mostly into building houses, try redstone. If you're mostly into redstone, go take on a dungeon. The point is to try something new, as there's likely tons of untouched content for you to explore. I mean, how many of you have ever used a conduit? How many of you have ever gotten a sniffer? Most people tend to even build their base in the same biome each time they play, and even worse, build an almost identical base each time. And hey, listen, if that's how you like to play, that's completely fine. But by diversifying your playthrough, you're going to get way more fun out of trying new stuff and exploring all the game's content rather than focus on its few base and core features each playthrough. My third tip is going to be somewhat short, but it's simply just don't rush your world. What do I mean by that? Well, don't make your first goal as soon as you hop on to go get full iron armor, then full diamond armor, then full netherite gear, and then kill the ender dragon. As if you've done that within the first 3 days, you're gonna make the early stages of the game where mobs still pose a threat very, very short. And this tends to be people's favorite phase of playing. Take your time, don't rush to the end game, build a house, build a farm, set up your world, explore, and yeah, eventually go kill the dragon, but it shouldn't be your primary goal. Most people think the point of Minecraft is to kill the ender dragon. And while it is the final boss of the game, this couldn't be further from the truth. The point of Minecraft is that it provides you with a sandbox to do whatever you'd like with it. I could talk about this for hours, but this is definitely a topic for another video. Point is, take your time, and honestly, I'd recommend prolonging the dragon fight as long as you possibly can. Now, before I give you the next tip, I'd like to take a quick pause in the video to remind you that liking this video is completely free and helps out the channel more than you can know. And if you're really enjoying the video, subscribe so you never miss out on another video just like this one. It's also completely free. You did it? Great. Back to the video. My fourth tip for enjoying a long-term Minecraft world is to have multiple projects at a time. It's easy to get burnt out on big projects if that's all you're doing. I recommend having 3 to 5 big projects going on at a time that you can cycle through. So when you get bored of working on one project, you can go work on something different for a little while and then come back to it later. It may also be a good idea to have these projects focus around different aspects of the game. For example, one project could be building a giant castle, another could be exploring the trial chambers for a mace, and another could be collecting animals for a zoo you're building. Each one of these projects or tasks is centered around doing different things, So when you're tired of building, you can focus on something that isn't building related, like exploring trial chambers. This is by far one of the best ways to prevent burnout in your world, and one I use almost every time I play. The next tip I have is to make builds for literally everything. This can mean making separate builds for every functional block rather than having them all stacked in your singular base. What I mean by this is go make a wizard tower for enchanting, a lab for brewing potions, a bakery for cooking food, a storage room. I think you get the point. Once you've done this, you can also connect all the buildings to make one central village. By putting everything you need in one place, it takes away the reasoning for building. I myself do just enjoy building for the fun of it. It's always better to have an incentive on why you're building that certain project. Now sure, it's way easier to just plop the blocks down in your base, but that takes away a lot of the fun, and 2 is gonna keep your world small and compact into that one original base you made. My 6th tip goes hand in hand with the last tip, and it involves creating lore or creating your own reasoning for doing things a certain way or making certain builds. The last tip was about building around functional blocks, but what happens when you run out of functional blocks to build for? Well, this is when you have to create your own reasoning. Whether you create lore on why you do something or create something that, although wasn't necessary, can still have a function, these are how you're going to create reasons to making builds. The perfect example of this would be building a wall around your central village area, and a visually appealing wall at that. The wall, while doesn't include a block like an anvil that serves a function, it does keep mobs out of your base. Just don't forget to light up the inside. Then on each corner of the wall, you can build tall towers to give you lookout points on each and every angle of your village to see if mobs are approaching and to make sure that none have somehow breached the wall. The wall nor the tower were needed to avoid mob spawning, as you could have just placed torches in the surrounding area or slept through the night. But like I've said many times, that's just no fun. These builds serve a purpose, and maybe they aren't functional, but they have a reason for being there. Another example could be building a giant pirate ship that you and your clan used to go out and explore to trade with other villages. This is an example of lore building, as you're not actually going to be able to sail that pirate ship, but you gave it a purpose by giving it lore. The pirate ship exists for trading. This is by far one of the best ways to keep yourself motivated to build, and works great for both solo and multiplayer worlds. Another great way to stay motivated in your world is to build a task board. I have one I use daily in my survival world, where I leave all my project ideas and tasks I would like to get done. Once I finally complete that task or that build, I then go and take it off the board, which often feels very satisfying. On top of this, you could also use a book and quill to write down the tasks you have completed once they're taken off the task board, so you can look back at how much you've accomplished. The task board itself could also just be put into a book and quill, but I prefer an actual board with signs, simply just because I like to look at the task board physically shrink in size when compared to taking them out of a book. For tip number 8, I'm gonna advise you to explore the collecting aspect of Minecraft. There are countless features in Minecraft that are simply just aesthetic in appearance, with tons of different variations for you to collect. First, you're gonna need to create some form of museum or trophy room to display a bunch of Minecraft's most valuable assets, such as a nether star, the dragon egg, or even sponge. You can also display things like armor trims and pottery shards. Make it a goal to collect and display each variation of them. Many of these trims and pottery shards are exclusive to specific biomes and structures, meaning you are going to be forced to go out in your world and explore in search of them. Since the structures can vary from bastions to ancient cities, this one is definitely going to keep you busy, especially you survival-oriented players. Not to mention, Mojang has continued to add more of these after they were introduced, so your collection is likely to expand in the future. I also can't forget to mention collecting all the music discs and mob heads as well is another great idea. Outside of a museum, you can also look into building a zoo and collect every animal. There's tons of possibilities for collecting items. You could even collect every block if you wanted. Collecting is definitely a really overlooked aspect of Minecraft for survival players, and does wonders for providing you with hours worth of gameplay. Tip number 9 is going to be all about villages and villagers. Villager trading is one of the most overpowered features in the game, and depending on who you're talking to, can either be one of the worst or the best features in the game. I'm going to make 2 recommendations around villages depending on your standpoint. If you dislike how powerful villager trades can be, then avoid making prison camps for the villagers, where the villagers are confined in a 1x1 box just waiting for you to trade. Basically, just avoid abusing the system. The same can go for any form of iron farm or redstone farm if you're really against that type of stuff, as if you do have something like an iron farm, it takes away from the actual experience of going out and going mining, one of the biggest parts of Minecraft. However, if you do enjoy the power of villager trading, then colonize the village. You're inevitably going to capture the villagers to just trade for you, but in return you can build up walls around the village for protection, and upgrade any damaged parts or buildings found there. Once complete, you can build a path connecting it to your home base or even other villages. I like to treat villages as neighbors and make it a job to ensure the villagers are safe rather than just enslaving them. This provides hours worth of content and tasks for you to do, and also just makes your world feel a little more alive. Now for tip number 10, the final tip for this video is for if none of these tips mentioned so far have worked and you're still fighting that urge to start a new world to experience that new world feeling again. And I'm here to tell you that you can experience that in the same world you're playing in right now. If you really just want to be somewhere new, then it may be time for you to relocate. Leave all your items in a chest or a shulker box and take a horse and a horse only and move out of your base. Ride your horse really far away and restart somewhere else. Don't bring any tools or blocks with you either. Once you finally found a new spot for your base, just play like it was any other start to a new survival world. Build your house, go mining, etc. By relocating to somewhere far away, you'll also likely be in chunks containing more of the new content from newer updates, at least if your original base was built in an older version like mine was. Just remember to write down your base code somewhere for when you'd like to return, where you can then connect the two bases through an either really long pathway or through nether highways. You can restart without having to create a new world. The only gripe with this is that it's going to take a little extra effort to respawn the Ender Dragon if you'd like to fight him again, but I think that just adds a little extra content for you. Those are 10 tips I personally love using and recommend using to play on one Minecraft world long term. I love playing my survival world and have gotten so much satisfaction out of seeing it grow over the past few years, and I hope these tips will help you do the same. If you guys do want to hear more tips or have any tips of your own, leave them down in the comments below, as I'd love to share more in the future if people are interested. Now, if you did enjoy the video, a like is greatly appreciated and goes a long ways toward helping the channel out. And if you really liked the video, subscribe so you never miss out on another video just like this one. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.